Hey, Freedom Builders. Welcome again to your weekly coaching call. I'm Rolando Galeana, and you know the drill. I'm here for the next hour to answer all your questions and to be able to field any questions that you might have. Sorry, I'm just trying to see. I'm thinking I'm going through some technical issues over here, but it looks like we are good. Just double checking. 1 second. And there we go. So it looks like, can you all hear me? If you could just drop a thumbs up if you're tuning in live. Hey, how's it going? And awesome. Looks like we are in business. So let's go ahead and start answering some of these questions. It looks like there's a few questions that were dropped in earlier this week. So I'll go ahead and go in that order, and then we'll start getting into the live questions. So to kick things off, actually, one quick announcement. Next week, Jungle Scout will be in Chicago for the event Retail X. So I will not be available. I'll be in Chicago. So we're going to skip next week's coaching call, but we'll resume the following week. So just keep in mind that the 26th, we will not have a live coaching call, but we will resume on September the 2nd. So let me go ahead and start fielding some of these questions. Let me go ahead and locate them here. Hope everyone's having a great day. I am. It's always it's always a great day. Let's see here. So it looks like Christy asks, indicates that 10 a.m. is a bit too early for these meetings for Pacific time people. I know we try to schedule the coaching call at a time that would work for the vast majority. I know that we're not going to get it right 100%, unfortunately, just because we have students from around the world. But what I will say is the replay is always available. So my suggestion would be to early in the week, drop your questions in the comment box, and then you could watch the replay later, and we'll answer your question. So yeah, hopefully that should solve that problem. Looks like Rob has the next question. Rob asks how to re-rank after going out of stock. Yeah, good question. My recommendation is start up your PPC campaigns. That's ultimately what's going to fire up and start putting your product once again on page one. And then, of course, that will help with trying to get the sale. And then once the sales start rolling in, then your ranking will start to go up. That's really the only way. You're probably optimized your listing at this point. If you stocked out, you could continue to optimize your listing, but my suggestion would be to start up your PPC campaigns, and maybe in just the early stages, maybe for the first week or two, increase the budget as well for your campaigns. So that would kind of just give them a nice little bump, a little boost. And then, of course, scale it back once you're at a comfortable level. Rob asks, is it too late to put in an order for Q4? The things to keep in mind is, one, you'll always want to have in mind, what is the lead time to prepare your product? You know, when you reach out to your supplier, how long does it take them to manufacture that product? Typically, that's going to be 20 days, I would say, is the amount of most suppliers need to be able to produce your product. And of course, it also depends on the quantity that you're getting. So we're at 20 days there. Right now, there are major delays when it comes to shipping. So you're looking at probably another 40 days to ship your product if you're doing ocean freight. So that would put you like at 60 days, so about 2 months out. And then the time that it might take about a week before Amazon processes your goods. So I would say, I'm looking at my calendar right now, so I'm looking up. You'll definitely want to get your order in now. for Q4. I think that a lot of delaying any more would pose a problem. So if you're at the point where you need to reorder, definitely do so, and also do so in preparation, right? Even if you're not completely out of stock, or even if you're not low, you'll want to get those orders in for sure to hit that Q4 goal. And there's been a lot of delays, unfortunately, with freight and just so many variables right now due to the pandemic. China has shut down at certain ports at times because of COVID outbreaks. So that's why I say get your order in as soon as possible. Plan wisely. Maybe even warehouse some of the goods at your house if you can, or if you have a third-party logistics company that you want to work with that could warehouse your goods. That would be another option. Let's see here. Rob asks, is the JumpSend promo still a good way to launch a product? I would advise on not using JumpSend, only because Amazon is getting more and more strict on product reviews, and one way that they can associate is if you're giving a deep discount. So usually when you're doing those promos, you're probably giving 80 to 90% off, and so it's a red flag for Amazon. So that's why I say just avoid those red flags, and to avoid that altogether, I would not recommend using JumpSend at this time. Let's see. So Rob asks, has cost of shipping and time increased? Yes, the shipping costs have gone up, and the time, we were talking about that earlier. There is a lot of congestion at these ports. Some have been shut down, and so obviously that caused delays. So there is definitely a increase in time, and then the shipping costs have gone up, but not significantly. They just I imagine with all of this congestion, everything, they're just incurring more costs, and so they try to pass on those costs to us sellers, but it's not significant. It's not. Ancient asks, I have a class at that time. I'll watch it later, but I would like to ask a question here. What is the expiration time for the Freedom Builder Bootcamp bundle? So a great question, Ancient. So you have, when you first purchased Freedom Builder Bootcamp, you have a year of access to Jungle Scout, the software, the tool. So you have a year to use for that. You could always renew it, but the soft access to Jungle Scout is a year. And it's going to become a mainstay, to be quite honest, of your business, just because as you grow as an Amazon seller, you're going to need Jungle Scout as a way to be able to manage your business. So just to kind of give you a little example, let me share my screen here. I'm going to share our demo account here at Jungle Scout. So as you can see, yes, you're going to in the early stages, you're going to have you'll spend a lot of time under the product research tab, and suppliers and keywords. You'll be spending a lot of time here. But as you grow, you're going to be more in the sales analytics portion, right? And where you want to be able to also manage your inventory. So Jungle Scout will become your go-to resource. Think of it almost like in the future, it's going to be like your QuickBooks software. And in the early stages, it's definitely designed to help you with your product research. So so you can kind of see the natural progression of you using these tools as you launch your first product and scale your business. So that would be that. And so you have a year access to Jungle Scout, the tool itself. And when it comes to the course, the Freedom Builder Bootcamp course, you're going to have lifetime access to this course. So as you can see, we're constantly adding to this. In fact, any of these replays, we also upload them. If you go all the way to the bottom, you can see that the bonus live coaching sessions, they're all stored here. In addition to that, there's this extra section here for product research. I would recommend definitely go through that. But yeah, so you'll have lifetime access, and as we expand into new content, new materials that will be shared here, and you'll have lifetime access to this part as well as the Facebook group. The only thing that expires after the year is your access to the Jungle Scout suite of tools. All right, so let me stop sharing here. Let me go ahead and see what's the next question. Tips for selling in Amazon business. Great question, Rob. My recommendation would be to use one of these, these aggregators, they call them, use an aggregator service to be able to sell your business. And there's tons out there. So what you'll want to do in that case is just kind of do your research, do your due diligence, find a company that that will work with you. Just trying to think if there's any that like come off, that initially, there's, if you do a Google search and you just type in Amazon aggregator companies, I would start there and then just kind of go through and find the different. I will share one other resource here. In fact, he was one of our speakers at our event. Go ahead, my Amazon guy. He would be a good. So you have like Heyday, you have so many different options. It's pretty wild. So I'm going to go ahead and drop his info in this page here. So I just dropped it. I'll drop it in the live thread. 1 second here. Yeah, so read through that article, Rob, and you'll also find that, that there's a list of different aggregators, and I would say that would be your best bet. That's the best way to do it. So let me go ahead and get to the next question. Inam is up next. It looks like we've gone through the previously submitted questions. So now I'm just going to go ahead and answer the live questions. Let me just pull them up. Okay. Awesome. All right, so Inam asks, how do you print your own shipping labels, and can you recommend a good printer for printing shipping labels? If you're going to be, so I imagine you'll be receiving the product yourself, so you'll be putting on the labels yourself. When I go to print, I literally just use a service like FedEx Kinko's or your Office Depot. Honestly, it's not, that's probably going to be your best bet if you're looking to hire someone, if you're looking to just have it done for you. If you're saying for a printer, I would suggest using a laser print. As far as brand, I couldn't tell you specific brand. I've trying to think if there's a particular brand that I would recommend. What I'll do is I'll drop a link of the printer I have that I use, but typically, like I have the supplier do this for me, just because the cost is so minimal to have them do it versus you. It's always going to be cheaper to have your supplier print up the labels for you and just put them on the product itself. And that's like a few labels here and there, but like I said, if it's going to be thousands of units that you're ordering, yeah, you want your supplier to do that for you. Okay. Inam asks, Under app and services, find apps and services. Do you use any of the third-party services for Amazon businesses? If yes, which ones and why? No, and I don't use any apps under apps and services, so I wouldn't. There's not a need for it. I mean, just other than the mobile app, like the official mobile app, definitely you want that. But that would be it, and that's just so that I can access my Seller Central account, like on the go. So that's why definitely I would recommend the Seller app, Amazon Seller app, and that's the only app that I use. Nam asks, I see that my computer is selling a lot of units when Jungle Scout web extension pulls the data. Do they show all the data from all the marketplace the ASIN is listed on, or just the US marketplace? I'm trying to follow along. 1 second. So, oh, okay. So when you're using the extension, okay. No, it's for that particular marketplace that you're currently on. So it's the data of that particular product on that marketplace. So if it's on the .com, then it's the US market. So yeah, it's specific to the location of that listing, the marketplace. And now asks, who do you use for your custom packaging? So now, like I said, with me, I've always had luck in that the supplier does the packaging for me. I mean, I with the intent that I actually want, when I'm looking for a supplier, those are one of the questions. That's one of the questions that I will approach them with is, are you a manufacturer? And if they say yes, okay, check. Can you also do custom packaging? And then yes, check. So like these are things that I look for in a supplier. I don't want to piece it together because that could become a logistical nightmare. Because yes, you could have someone that creates your custom packaging and then have them ship it to your supplier, and then your supplier packages it for you. But that's a logistical nightmare. So you want it like one and done. You don't want to piece that together. Rob, will you be doing the coaching call for the following week? Good question, Rob. We won't be having a coaching call next week just because of RetailX in Chicago. If you are attending RetailX, definitely come drop by our booth. I'll be there. So yeah, unfortunately, and we will not be having next week's coaching call. Brett asks, hi, I'm hoping Lenny is here today. I'm having issues with one photo that I uploaded looking very dark on Amazon. Looks fine on my computer, but after upload to Seller Central, it's dark. I have added a number of transparent layers to text to this photo. Have you seen this issue before? Now, are you looking at also sometimes if it's a different monitor from, say, what you have, let's say it's a photo that you have on your mobile device and you're seeing what it looks like on computer, that could be one issue. I have seen, different monitors just relay the colors different or output the color differently. What I would suggest is using a simple, tool like Canva. If you go to canva.com, it's a free tool, and adjust the color. Because if it is your computer monitor that's displaying the color issue, then you could use a tool like canva.com and either lighten it or darken it, and just keep testing it out. You can swap out your picture. It's not going to cause any problems. Just to see like if when you make the adjustment and you make the change, is it specifically because of your devices, or is it Seller Central that's processing that? Either way, you can get to the correct color code, like I said, using canva.com, a free tool. And that asks, when I created my manual ad campaign, I followed the instructions from the bootcamp, which ended up being 449 keywords. Is this too high? How many keywords should I have for each ad group? And what do you do for your campaigns and why? So great question. I like to keep it simple. I've always stated that there's no right or wrong way. Well, there is a wrong way to do PPC, but there's many ways to do PPC. So some people prefer to load tons of keywords, and because you're capped at 1,000. So you could literally add 1,000 keywords to your campaign, or your ad group, per ad group. But just imagine the nightmare of optimizing those, and think about your budget. It's trying to find keywords that are converting for you, right? The algorithm. So what it's trying to do is it's spreading your budget across, these hundreds of keywords, and you're not going to have as effective results, at least that's in my opinion, because what's going to happen is your budget is just going to be spread out, right? It's going to try different. Not only is it just your keywords, but then if you have like a broad match campaign, or you're using broad match type, then even there, one keyword that you supply, it could be almost infinite results, right? So that's why I keep it to my main keywords that I'm really trying to target. So anywhere between 10 to 20 keywords, and then the results of those 10 to 20 keywords are still going to give me infinite options, because if I'm using a broad match campaign along with a phrase match match type, I should say, a broad match type and a phrase match type, then of course I'm going to have a very exponential results for that. Now, over time, you could continue to add more keywords. If you're comfortable, if you feel like the optimization is going well, then you can continue to test out new keywords. But imagine you having to go in and adjust the bid to 400 and some odd keywords. It becomes a headache and a nightmare, and almost unmanageable after some time. Because that's part of the optimization process, right? We want to go in and we want to adjust the bid. All right, Namas, did the material costs also went up for products? Yes. Right now we're experiencing rises in material costs, which is then impacts shipping costs, which then impacts, of course, the overall cost that we inherit. But on the plus side, oftentimes we can adjust our price in lockstep. It's when prices go up, what we tend to do as sellers is everyone will adjust their price accordingly, only because I don't know of a seller that would ever want to absorb the rise in costs. So that's why I say it's reflected in the market as a whole, and you'll just want to make sure that you adjust your pricing accordingly. And in your early stages, when you're doing your product research, make sure that that your profit margin is solid. All right. Dan asks, let's see, oh, okay. The next question comes from Brett. Brett asks, just double check, make sure I'm not skipping any questions. Sometimes they get all jumbled together. Let's see here. Okay, yes, Brett has the next question. I made a mistake when setting up my shipping for the first time. I now have a line in the shipping queue that I can't get rid of. The status is working. I can get into it, but don't see how to delete it. How do I delete this? You should still be able to delete it. Let me just see where you would go, like kind of point you in the right direction. Let's see, one moment, Brett. So when you're under, let's see here, manage shipping. I'm just trying to see what the So if you go and just trying to find the link, they changed the interface. If you guys haven't noticed, they tend to do that. 1 second. Yeah, with the changed interface, it's kind of making it difficult for me to find that information for you right away. But what I'll do is I'll go through, not to take up too much time right now, just kind of like digging through. I'll go through and send you some screen captures. I'll just upload them here and I'll tag you, Brett, on some screen captures of how to go ahead and delete that, because you should be able to delete it without a problem. It's just the interface has changed, so it's not, it's I like the new interface, but yeah, definitely things are not where they used to be. All right, Dan asks, hey, Rolando, thanks for being here to help us today. Just signed up this week with Freedom Builder Bootcamp and Jungle Scout. Congratulations, awesome. This weekend, I'm super excited. When I signed up, I remember seeing a bonus business builder checklist that came with the package. Where can I find this? It should be in your initial, in the first email that you received, Dan. There should be a link to that. If what I'll do as well is I'll follow up. I'll drop a link here and I'll tag you, Dan, with the with a link to that, so then everybody can have access to it. Also, there's a few links that you'll find throughout the course if you look in the description. So you'll want to make sure that as you're going through this training, that you're looking at the downloads. Let me share my screen here so that you can kind of get an idea of the demo account that we have. So you'll find as you're going through the course itself, and I think this is often overlooked, there's additional links in the description. So the video will be playing here, the video that that you're familiar with and you're used to, and then oops, let me pause that. But then you're going to have some links and resources underneath in the description. So always be mindful of that. Also, you can download some videos, have a PDF file attached to it, so you could download those. Not all videos do, only because not all videos, some videos might be a little shorter in time frame and not a whole lot that to write out, I guess you could say. But the more critical stuff, yeah, you'll find those downloads there as well. Awesome. So let's see here. Inam asks, should I invest in a QuickBooks software or just use Jungle Scout Sales Analytics? Which bookkeeping software do you use for your Amazon business? So I made the reference of it's like your QuickBooks, but it's more for inventory management. So you're definitely going to be using Jungle Scout for your inventory management and your sales analytics, and you could kind of you could use that specific. But for bookkeeping, you would want to use something like QuickBooks. But me personally, I don't even do that. I have an accountant, so I would recommend that you go with an accountant if you want to go that route. It's the easiest way to manage your business, and so get an accountant if you can. Otherwise, you'd have to learn something like a software like QuickBooks to manage your business, which can be tedious. Trying to learn all the you're trying to learn how to sell on Amazon, and then you're also trying to learn how to do good, accurate bookkeeping and so on. It can become frustrating. So that's why an accountant is the solution there. Inam asks, mentions, thank you for the keyword questions. Helps a lot. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm all about less is best. I'm about the philosophy of less is best. Simplify this process. That's why I was saying an accountant, simplify it. Yes, is it an added expense? It is. However, when it comes time to file your taxes, it's not going to be a nightmare. And oftentimes, my accountant finds great ways to reduce my overall overhead and so forth. So it just makes more sense. it's worth it. Jamie asks, I just finished module 2 of training. Do you recommend finishing the entire training before launching the first product? I believe the best way to, and the best approach when you're in there on the completing the training is to follow along as Greg does it. So not to go through it all and like binge it, like, just because there's going to be, if you do that approach, you're going to forget maybe what happened in step 1. And so then you got to go back and you got to hunt down that module, that lesson. So my recommendation is, as Greg does this and walks you through, definitely complete that task, whatever it was that he did. If it's, reaching out to a supplier, reach out to a supplier at the same time. Also, you'll find the templates are in that description. So there might be a template in there that you'll need to reference and use. So that's why it's best just to follow along and go through it with Greg at the same time. All right. Dan says, thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, let's see. Sain asks, hi, Rolando, can I buy GS1 USGTIN for my product for $30 to use for one product? Then later, if I launch new product, buy additional GS1? Yes, and what's awesome is that, I don't know if it was, I think mid-year last year or the start of last year, GS1 started offering the single product barcode, which is amazing because now you don't have to buy in bundles of like 10 and up. Before that was the case, you could only buy, a bundle of 10. So definitely that single product barcode is amazing. Take advantage of it. Now you could just buy one at a time. So to answer your question, yes, if I'm not, how should I say, if I'm on the right track, you can continue to buy those single product GS1 barcodes. So that's not a problem. In fact, that's what I would recommend, is starting out with buying the single one, and then for your second product, buy another one. I mean, unless you foresee that you're going to have several SKUs right out the gate, because maybe you want variants of colors, like you might have a pink, a blue, a red. So then maybe it becomes cost effective to start thinking about, okay, I'm going to buy the GS1, like the bundle, the I think it's like 10 is the starting. Let me see, I'm looking it up right now on GS1. Let's go ahead and I'll share my screen. I'm just trying to locate the pricing for GS1. All right. Da-da-da. So this is the pricing I'll share right here now. And I always recommend, I mean, it is the standard GS1. I would never buy a barcode anywhere else. But here you can kind of see what the packages look like. So for 10 barcodes, it's $250, and then an annual renewal fee of $50. If you do the single one, you don't have any renewal fee. There is no renewal fee. So that's another bonus of that. So definitely, consider at what scale, how many barcodes you'll need in the foreseeable future, and base it off of that. If you need, if you know you're going to have different colors, then this might be more of a deal for you. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's see. Next question. Are you currently using Amazon attribution? If yes, for which platform? Are you getting any success with it? I have used it, but it's not, with Amazon attribution, it's more for external traffic that you're driving. So it's not really, until you're driving external traffic, Amazon attribution does not come into play. I have, but I have used it for campaigns, different campaigns. Dan asks, so James says, thanks. You're welcome. Dan asks, can you talk a minute about your preferences for ocean versus air freight shipping when importing? I haven't researched those costs yet. How significant are they going to be on overall profitability? My uneducated vision was to select smaller products so that air could be utilized to reduce shipping time. So yes, so Dan, the difference, it comes in cost. It's always going to be depending on the scale and size of what you're sending, right? So if it's just a few items, several hundred, a couple hundred, then you may just want to get a air freight quote, see what that looks like in comparison to sending it by sea. So there comes a time where there's like a threshold, right, where either one is going to be better than the other in terms of cost. And yes, time, it will save you time to ship your items via air, but it is going to come at a cost. So that's why I say you'll want to, like, if you have a minimum order quantity, oftentimes your suppliers are going to have a minimum order quantity, which is an MOQ for short. And it might be like 1,000 units. So if it's 1,000 units and you're going to incur a pretty hefty price if it's a decent sized product, if you're going to ship it by air. So it's this balancing act of like, okay, you can get a quote for both, compare the two, see and weigh out the pros and the cons at that point. But I will say that with larger orders, you're going to eventually, maybe your initial order you'll want to do by air just to get it in to Amazon, and you're fine with kind of incurring a little extra expense. But eventually, you're going to need to switch to having it shipped by sea. It's just the most affordable option. Let's see here, but definitely by shipping by sea, you're looking at 30 to 45 days for it to arrive and stateside and essentially get over to Amazon's warehouses. So there is definitely a more of a time factor for shipping by sea. The beauty of air is, of course, you're going to get it within the week, and then they'll start processing at Amazon. But it, if it takes away at your profitability, being a little more patient and having it go by sea is always best. Unless it's, like I said, unless it's something that is very small, then you may want to consider air. All right, Hussein asks, when creating a shipping plan, is it acceptable if I use my supplier's address as I am purchasing it in DDP terms? Yes, your supplier, in that case, you would use your supplier's address. So that's perfectly fine. If you're using a freight forwarder, then you use the freight forwarder, the freight forwarder's address. So, yeah, so that would be, you are correct in doing that. All right, let me see the next question. Let's see here. So you are correct there, Hossein. All right, and then we got the next question coming in from Inam. Why do we need to renew the GS1 after you create your listing on Amazon? Do you still have any use for the barcode after you create your listing? In essence, that barcode, if if you do not renew it, and this is one reason why you'll want to renew it. If you do not renew it, it can be resold. You know, the barcode can be resold. In theory, it can be resold, and that could pose a major problem for you, your product in the future. Where, as let's just say, now the rightful owner of the barcode also lists on Amazon, they could bump your product off. So that's why I say definitely the renewals are very critical. You want to keep up with that and and pay that renewal fee. Otherwise, you could run into trouble. Let's see if I answered it entirely. Why do we need to renew GS1? Do you still have any use for the barcode after you created a listing? Now, also another, you're probably going to want to expand beyond Amazon, right? You might want to expand to Walmart or say, just different ways to get your product, different channel to market your product. That barcode is the barcode that will follow that product. So that what that does is it identifies the product, and you've basically listed it internationally, so that that product has an existence, I guess you could say. So that's why you want to keep up with those GS1s. All right. Any more questions? Trailblazing through these questions. All right, let's see here. Saying us, after purchasing a GS1 UPC code, I will be assigned FNSKU by Amazon, which I have to print or stick on every individual product. Am I right? That is correct. So the FNSKU, I love saying that. The FNSKU is going to be the barcode that essentially that Amazon uses internally to be able to retrieve your product and to track your product. So that's why the FNSKU has to be on every product. So you don't need to put the barcode. There's no need to put the barcode on the product, just the FNSKU. And they'll provide you those labels when you're creating the shipping plan. You'll be able to pull in a downloadable PDF that you would provide to your supplier. And in essence, I mean, it's going to be however many units. Let's say it's 1,000 units. It's going to be a PDF that has like 1,000 FNSKUs. However, literally they're all identical. It's not like there's a quantity count. They're all identical. They're just doing that so that to make it easy for your supplier to just print it at scale, off of their printers and get that for you. Now there's the option of having Amazon have the stickers for you, but it's so much cheaper if you have your supplier do it. I think they charge, if I'm not mistaken, like 30 cents per sticker, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just not worth it. It's so much better just to have your supplier do it. Let's see. All right. Looks like we are trailblazing here. All right, let me see. Just gonna look and see if I can, while I wait on the next question, let me see how much they charge. Let's see what they charge to label. Here, I'll show, let me just pull this up. I guess it's not showing, but yeah, like I said, it's so much better just to have your for you to do it rather than having Amazon to do it, having your supplier do it. All right, let's see. You're welcome, Hussein. Uh, Jamie asks, what's your favorite category to sell into? My favorite category. I like them all now. Um, I am a believer of sticking to products. I stick to Greg's methodology. He's the one who taught me to begin with, which is products that are not they're not easily breakable. Very few moving parts and components, right? I stay away from electronics. So I'll tell you what to stay away from, just because I think that's easier than saying my favorite category, because I really don't have a favorite category. I literally will do a search and find a product based on the results, like a data driven approach, right? Versus just trying to like see if something sticks. But I stay away from electronics. I don't want to be dealing with the returns and all that nightmare that could pose. Anything breakable, I do not. I stick away. I stay away from that. I stay away from gated categories. I know some people would like to sell, in the baby category or in different areas like that. I try not to, because it's just, for me, the idea is, okay, I want to launch a product and scale it fast. I don't want to run into any hiccups or hurdles that are going to slow this whole process down. So that's why I say, there's plenty of categories that you'll find products that just don't, that meet that criteria. Let's see. Hopefully that helps. Nam asks, do you buy things like polymailers from Alibaba.com to save you costs for your business? Well, I don't, for the fact that, once again, when it comes to polymailers, that all of that your supplier will be able to provide and for you. I've done, I've dabbled in doing we call it like retail arbitrage and so forth, and then I had like a whole pack. Like, I had packing everything, right? I had boxes, I had polymailers, I had bubble wrap, I purchased, I had a mail room essentially. But that was because it was a different business model. The business model, if you're familiar with retail arbitrage, it's literally finding physical products on the cheap. It's very grinding, because you're going into like clearance racks at Target and Walmart and so on, and you're finding these products that are selling on clearance at the physical store. They're just trying to get rid of the inventory, but on Amazon it's selling at at full price. So those days, which was many moons ago, and to the work that goes into it versus the outcome is not worth it. Now if you're doing like wholesaling, it's a little different. If you're doing maybe retail arbitrage through you found a good supplier, then that's perfectly fine. But initially, having to seek out a product physically and packing it and shipping it, I mean, it's just, it's too much. It's a great experience to understand the process of selling on Amazon, but at the same token, it's just it's a nightmare. So I got rid of I got rid of most of my mailing supplies, and I just use the supplier to get those poly mailers. Hopefully that helps. And Dan asks, what are some effective, simple ways to differentiate or / improve products? I think probably the most effective way that I've found is by combing through my competitors' different reviews. So I'll start like with the 1-star reviews, and I'll look at the 2-star reviews and the 3-star reviews to see what the complaint is, because that's really where the gold is. It's really the customer speaking and telling you how to improve the product. So I would say that would be the most effective, and where I find the most ideas is the customers themselves. It really is. It really is a gold mine. Aside from that, I would say a quick, easy win is just like bundling something. So say that, you know, you think like, let's just say that you're selling like a cookware, right? And then it's just a spoon. Well, you might want to be able to include, and this is hypothetical. Don't do this. This is just me giving an example. You know, it's a spoon. Well, you might want to incorporate a spatula because it goes well with it, right? So bundling is huge. I would say bundling is going to be your second best option. I would start there. Start by looking at your competition, combing through all the different negative reviews, and then also, like I said, you know, consider bundling so that when you reach out to your supplier, you might say, hey, I want this, you know, I want you to price me and quote me the spoon, but do you also sell the spatula, you know? So then that would be great if, you know, get both products from the same supplier. And I'm getting personal here. Is that a personal question? You don't have to answer if you don't want to. How did you get this job with JS, and what do you recommend if I like to also join your team? So no, definitely, if you're interested in Jungle Scout, you would just go to junglescout.com/jobs, I believe. Let me check. I'm just double checking here. Oh no, I lied. Let me see. See if I can find the link for you. I'll drop the link for you. And yeah, and you can just kind of come through. See, you'll see the different roles that are available. I got started as a result of, so a little backstory on how I got started. I first heard of Jungle Scout through the $1 Million Case Study. I don't know if you all are familiar with the $1 Million Case Study. And this was like the very first $1 Million Case Study. It was Greg. He was on YouTube. I mean, I had just, so what had happened was I was bedridden. I had just had a failed business venture with 3 partners. It was a tech startup that we were starting. And I had, right after that, I had injured my back, and so I was bedridden, and so I this is like many years ago, like 5-6 years ago, no longer. But anyhow, back to the story. I ended up hurting my back. I'm in bed, and I'm like, hey, I was like, there's got to be something I could do online. I heard about this e-commerce space. Let's see what I could do from my bed, essentially. So I started like just doing a Google search of how to sell online, and little by little, I started going down the path of e-commerce. Started learning about e-commerce. Came across Greg's YouTube video on YouTube, and he's showing how to sell on Amazon. And so then I started to do that. I went down that path, and lo and behold, I learned how to sell on Amazon. And over time, Greg reached out to me because we were filming the season 4 of the $1 Million, or Jungle Scout was filming season 4 of the $1 Million Case Study. And I had, I had knowledge of him by that point. And obviously I was using Jungle Scout as a customer. And so then, that's how I got my start. I started helping out with the $1 Million Case Study, and that was a lot of fun. And we, here we are. Your coach, your full-time coach. All right, let's see here. Nam asks, sometime when you order a small MOQ, the suppliers don't want to do any design work or packing the order, and so I like to make my products as sexy as I can. If you have recommendations around that, let me know. Yeah, no, that's great. I'm glad that you take the time. I think packaging is huge when it comes to a getting a review. Believe it or not, I think packaging is one of the biggest things that like kind of the first impression that you're going to give a consumer or a customer of your product. And yeah, because just think about that experience initially. Like they're just so excited to open up this package and eventually get to the product. So I'm glad you spend the time on that. Unfortunately, yeah, if you're getting a low MOQ, there's just no workaround. There's no workaround. Some places just will not budge. I mean, I would try to get them to budge, but yeah, it's kind of a hard and fast rule just because they're actually having to expend a little more time to build this out for you, and not knowing if it's like that, if if you're going to reorder. And so all this time was all their staff was used to kind of build these renderings and so on and so forth. And now like there was no reorder, you just ordered a couple hundred and that was it, hypothetically. And that's why they stay away from this. It's more so they, when you order at like at least 1,000, to them it's like, okay, now it's worth the putting manpower on it, on there, just thinking about it from the supplier side. We could put some manpower on this, devote a little time to this, because it's 1,000 units, so or more. So that's why you do that. All right. Let me go ahead. It looks like we are out of time. We are at the top of the hour. Let me see if I can quickly just answer some of these, because I know that we have 3 questions that came in, but that will be the last. Let's see here. Dan asks, I have 3,000 to spend on initial landed costs of my first product. I have some connections with some influencers, so I plan to be able to have a strong product launch in terms of sales volume. So how do I come up with a strategy to spend the money wisely to get enough product and don't sell out, and then have to wait on a reorder and end up having to re-rank? Yeah, that would be the challenge there, Dan, is typically you want to reorder well in advance of you going out of stock, right, out of supply. In your case, if you're waiting, if you're needing those funds to kind of like to replenish your product, it's almost inevitable, and that you'll run out of stock. And it's not necessarily all that bad. It's that's why I say that, like, it's not necessarily an all bad thing. Like, of course, you want to get that order out as fast as possible. You'll drop in rank, but you'll just you'll create you'll understand where where to put your resources in the next launch, right? Or not even like just the relaunch of it. Your ranking won't go down to complete zero. It'll definitely drop down significantly, but you could just as quickly get back, get that ranking back. Ideally, you buy a product that is, I'm just trying to think of, you do like a micro launch, which wouldn't require your entire investment, right? You find, maybe if you could get a supplier that can sell you like 200, 300 units to test, it's like a micro test launch of the product to see how well it does, see how that, start building those channels of, with the influencers, and so that would be one option, is do like a micro test launch. And then as you can see, like, how it's doing, then you can go in and place the order for the remainder, or so on. Alternatively, like I said, if you do go out of stock, it's not the end of the world. And then your third option would be to get a loan. One of the beauties of Amazon, and I know, it's, any business is going to be tough, right? Entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. It's for, it's going to take some grit. It's going to take some determination, and it's going to take some creativity. we're here to support you as much as possible, but definitely in the end, what's going to happen is, you're going to have to make decisions that are going to continue to drive your business forward and continue to grow your e-commerce empire. So my suggestion, even, and if like loans are an option that you can do, because it's an investment in your business, and so that would probably be another way to get some cash in and be able to build your business. I always resort to that last because, of course, do it with what you have. Even if you stock out, no big deal. But if you're ready to hit the ground running and that you have like you said, the product is going to sell quickly, then you might want to even explore that third route. So let's see here. The business loan, but let's see. So Nam asks, I received an email invitation to join your team and submit my resume. Since then, I can't stop smiling. I'm so excited to join that I can't even sleep. Awesome. We just a little bit background on it's really cool. We used to do these trips, twice a year. We call them jungle camp, and because of the pandemic, we've unfortunately haven't been able to do them. But we'll go to these gorgeous places, like and work. It's work. It's not all play. We work hard, but we play hard. So yeah, it's a lot of fun working on with Jungle Scout. It's a very unique culture, very unique team. It just seems like the company itself, the people, they're just like a family. So good stuff. Dan asks, how much money is ideal to have a strong launch and not run into this exact problem? How do you strategize around this? And this will be the last question, guys, just because it's past the hour. But Dan asks, how much money is ideal to have a strong launch, not run into this exact problem? How do you strategize around these initial costs and sales volume figures? So I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier in terms of micro launches is probably going to be a good strategy for you, because you stated 3,000. So micro launch. So trying to find a supplier that will sell, that will get, doesn't have a 1,000 unit count minimum order quantity. That would go a long way. Just being able to find a supplier that will work with you on that. And then, I'm still a firm believer that with the threshold of like 5,000 is good. 5,000. 3,000 you still can do, but that's what I was saying. It's just not going to be buying in bulk 1,000 units, right? And that depends though too, because you'd be surprised. There's products that I would say the weirder the better. So like you might find like, I don't know, like a little O-ring that is very popular because it whatever reason, it just it needs to be replaced every so often. But it's in those little unique, weird things that because we always want that cool, sexy product to launch, but the weird stuff is the best stuff, to be quite honest. So that's why I would put my focus on is finding something very unique and weird, a niche that like really does, the average person is not going to probably even look at, and then price that out and launch that way. So I think that is it, everyone. I hope that helps us. How do you strategize around these initial costs of sales? Yeah, I think hopefully I covered your question, Dan. I think we should be covered that question. So if not, I'll be here. Not next week. Remember, I won't be here next, but we'll be taking the next week off because we'll be at RetailX. And if you didn't catch that early on, we'll be in Chicago. Drop on by our booth if you are there at RetailX. Then the following week on September the 2nd is when we'll be back at it. All right. So thank you all for tuning in, and we'll chat in a couple of weeks. Thank you all.